which translates to Holger the Dane. The story goes that he's not actually dead, he's only sleeping, and whenever Denmark is in grave danger, he will wake up and save the nation. Actually, the most significant...
Olá pessoal, sejam bem-vindos ao meu canal. Meu nome é Natália, mas você pode me chamar de Nath. Eu adoro reagir e aprender sobre outros países, especialmente aqueles bem diferentes do meu, em termos culturais e econômicos. Então, se você gosta desse tipo de conteúdo, fica à vontade para se inscrever. Vou adorar ter você por aqui. Bom, nesse vídeo eu vou reagir a uma viagem de Copenhague que vai explodir sua mente. Então é isso, sem mais delongas, e vamos para a reação.
Today we're gonna explore one of the most famous castles in Denmark and in general just this city called Elsinore north of Copenhagen. So come with me in this video where we'll explore whether this is the best day trip you can take from Copenhagen. Copenhagen has a lot to offer, so I understand why it can be a bit tricky to decide whether to actually leave the city and go on a day trip. The good thing about this day trip is that it's actually under an hour on the train from Copenhagen Central Station, and usually public transport in Denmark is costly. But these tickets only cost 42 kroner if you book online, or you can just rock up and get a ticket in the machine for 78 kroner. So Elsinore, or Helsingør as you'd call it in Danish, is super close to Copenhagen.
So you arrive right by the harbour, which is also the city centre. So you don't need to worry about any more transportation. Once you're in Elsinore, you're in Elsinore. So I'm here with my girlfriend and we just talked about we need a cup of coffee now and maybe a little cake. I just need to worry about any more transportation. Once you're in Elsinore, you're in Elsinore.
Caramba, olha só como é bonito, são tijolos. Isso dá um ar muito, muito antigo. Incrível! Os ferros também são bem ornamentados. Realmente é muito charmoso.
So I'm here with my girlfriend and we just talked about we need a cup of coffee now and maybe a little cake. I just found what looks to be a pretty nice little local cafe, so we're gonna head down there.
And while we get a coffee, let me introduce the city of Elsinore properly. Elsinore is just shy of 50,000 inhabitants and it's the 19th largest city in Denmark. Because of its location right by the ocean, it's always been a vital city for Denmark for its...
Essa cidade tem 50 mil habitantes e tem um café daquele jeito. Isso é fantástico, porque aqui onde eu moro no Rio, nós não temos cafés daquele jeito, não. Assim, isso é uma coisa que começou a vir de uns tempos pra cá. Mas literalmente uma coisa com aquela estética.
I just found what looks to be
muito
a pretty
difícil.
nice little local cafe, so we're gonna head down there.
And while we get...
Olha isso! É fascinante, é muito decorado.
a coffee, let me introduce the city.
Nossa, a decoração é muito aconchegante. Olha como essa mulher está sentada de forma aconchegante. É um lugar que realmente te atrai.
Of Elsinore properly. Elsinore is just shy of 50,000 inhabitants and it's the 19th largest city in Denmark. Because of its location right by the ocean, it's always been a vital city for Denmark for its strategic importance in controlling the entrance to the Baltic Sea. Today, Elsinore is obviously a modern city, but I've got to say that it's quite rare for the city centre of a smaller Danish town to be as cozy as Elsinore's. I've actually only been here once as a kid, so today it's like I'm seeing it all for the first time.
First impression is that it's a pretty nice place. I don't really know why I haven't been here since I was a kid, to be honest, because under an hour's drive on the train up here, and it looks lovely, and there was even this craft beer bar right next to
Gente,
the
as coisas ficam na rua, que incrível isso.
Pretty good.
Caramba, eu não sabia que era assim. Eu não lembro de ter visto coisas assim na Dinamarca. Tipo, as coisas que são vendidas ficam do lado de fora. Isso é muito atrativo. Tem lugares aqui no Brasil que é assim também. Realmente torna tudo muito vivo.
It's also funny, like when you listen to people, it's almost only Swedish that you hear here, because you can take a boat over from Helsingør. It's like a bus route. They just go back and forth all the time, and I think it only takes like 20 minutes or something. So there's so many Swedish people here, and that's just
Meu Deus, vocês são muito sortudos.
While there are quite a few cool things to do in Elsinore, there's one thing we can't and should not ignore. One of the most famous attractions in Denmark and one of the best preserved castles in all of Scandinavia, Kronborg Castle. For more than 500 years,
Wow.
Kronborg Castle has been sitting at this strategically important location at the narrowest point between Denmark and Sweden, called Øresund. And for over 400 years, Kronborg was the headquarters for collecting the Øresund toll. And in addition to collecting the Øresund tolls, the fortress ensured that Denmark had control over which foreign powers moved into the Baltic Sea, which at the time was considered internal Danish waters.
When we walked in, we were met by
Gente,
this
tá muito
guide who works here.
conservado. É
Obviously, the guide is
impressionante.
gonna work here. And she just told us a bit about where should you go, like, because they've only opened for another hour. She was like, you should probably start over there, head over to the church, do that. So that was a really cool start, and she told us a few facts.
The castle was built by King Frederick II, who reigned from 1559 to 1588, after fighting a costly war against Sweden that Denmark obviously won, just as we do all the time in football nowadays. The Øresund toll funded the construction of Kronborg, which began in 1574 and took over.
Uau! Gente, é incrível como tudo realmente está muito bem conservado. Ele disse que é um dos mais conservados da Escandinávia, né? É fascinante.
Decade to complete. The castle was so beautiful that it became a bit famous all over Europe, and it even caught the attention of Shakespeare. Apparently Shakespeare himself didn't visit the castle, but some of his actors had actually performed for King Frederick at Kronborg, and they could talk about the impressive castle and the great feasts. So, over 400 years ago, Shakespeare wrote the tragic tale of the Danish prince Hamlet, a story inspired by the legendary Danish hero
Meu
Hamlet
Deus, tá
and the
perfeito,
Kronborg Castle,
gente.
of course. So that's obviously why Kronborg is also known as Hamlet's Castle.
I feel a bit stupid for like not seeing more of my own country, but I guess if you guys like this type of content and you'd like to see more of Denmark, then let me know, because I definitely feel like I should get a bit more out in my own country. Now, look at this.
So internationally, Kronborg might be best known because of the Shakespeare connection. However, for us Danes, Kronborg is incredibly important because of the guy who sits in the dungeon, or the Casemates.
Wow.
Because when you walk down there, you'll find Holger Danske, which translates to Holger the Dane. The story goes that he's not actually dead, he's only sleeping, and whenever Denmark is in grave danger, he will wake up and save the nation. Actually, the most significant armed Danish resistance movement against the German occupation during World War II was named after Holger Danske. So while we Danes usually don't take ourselves too seriously, Holger is a pretty big deal around here.
Gente, é muito doido, porque ele comentou isso, né? E realmente, às vezes, a gente mora num lugar que tem várias coisas, mas a gente simplesmente não visita nada disso, e vem milhares de turistas de fora que apreciam isso. Me deixa nos comentários, vocês já visitaram esses lugares? Porque eu tô achando fantástico. Sem dúvidas, preciso conhecer esse castelo, porque ele tá muito bem conservado. Eu não diria que é uma coisa tão antiga. Dá pra ver pelo acabamento, por tudo, assim, é impossível você olhar e dizer que isso é velho. Realmente vocês têm sorte de poder ir num lugar desse sempre quando quiser.
The day is not over, guys, but I've gotta say, just came out from Kronborg. What an experience. To be honest, I'm gonna say it here. The video isn't finished, but I'm gonna say it. This is a fantastic day trip from Copenhagen, and I wish that I actually had some more time, because I reckon you could spend at least 2 hours in there. There were also some guided tours for free numerous times a day. I think if you check their website, you can see when they are.
Fantastic.
And I reckon those are worth the money because they're free. So yeah, what a nice experience, and the day isn't over because Elsinore has more to offer right over there actually.
Indoor food markets have become quite a big deal here in Denmark over the past 10 years, and I've got to say that sometimes the experience isn't that great. That's why I was pretty surprised when I walked into Elsinore street food market. They had a good selection of food from all over the world, and the prices were definitely cheaper than down in Copenhagen. I also just like the super cozy couches and in general just a very homely atmosphere in here. So this street food market actually surprised me quite a lot. I'd seen some photos online and it looked alright, let's say. Let's say that it looked alright. It was pretty damn cool. Actually, one of the coolest street food markets I've seen in Denmark, to be honest. And if this was located in Copenhagen, it would be jam-packed. But here, nice vibes, and we got our food in 5 minutes and got a seat. If this was located in Copenhagen, it would be jam-packed. But here,
lugar com areia. Isso é tipo playground? Que incrível, eu nunca havia visto algo assim.
Vibes, and we got our food in 5 minutes and got a seat. Everything's pretty good, so now we just need to get some good food, hopefully. The sun is even shining after what feels like 9 months of winter, so there's nothing to complain about here. Cheers. The food here, luckily, was excellent, so I highly recommend checking out Elsinore Street Food Market if you do this day trip from Copenhagen. But if you want to get some proper Danish food, then that is definitely also an option. Elsinore city centre is extremely tourist friendly, so there are many cafes and restaurants. And again, the city centre of Elsinore is pretty tiny, so for example, the walk from the train station to Kronborg is only about 1 kilometer, and the street food market is just next to Kronborg. So I've got to say that I do think that this might well be the best day trip you can take from Copenhagen. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see more of Denmark, then let me know in the comments.
Gente, olha isso, literalmente tem mesinhas no trem. Esse trem é algum tipo de trem especial, porque nos trens aqui não temos isso. Eu até tentei filmar no trem para mostrar para vocês. Gente, literalmente não deu certo, tá? Acabou dando uma confusão, as pessoas não queriam que eu filmasse, enfim. Eu realmente tentei, eu não vou nem postar nada do que eu filmei, mas eu adoraria mostrar isso para vocês, que é muito diferente. Mas eu amo ver como vocês são muito evoluídos em muitos sentidos, até mesmo na área do transporte. É fantástico.
Because I kind of want to do more. Look at this beautiful scenery. I kind of want to show more of Denmark, so if you enjoy that, then let me know in the comments.
Gente, fantástico! Essa é outra cidade, né, que eu acabei de conhecer da Dinamarca, uma cidade tão perto de Copenhague. Meu Deus, gente, eu estou com uma lista, um caderno cheio de anotações de lugares que eu definitivamente vou quando estiver aí. E assim, eu tô muito animada para isso, porque é uma cidade mais linda que a outra. Eu fico chocada, até mesmo quando as cidades são menores. Essa cidade tem 50 mil habitantes, pelo que ele falou. E assim, é perfeito. A cidade tem uma estrutura fascinante. A estrutura dessa cidade literalmente poderia ser de uma cidade grande daqui do Brasil, de 300, 400 mil habitantes. Aquele café, nunca que na minha cidade, que tem 50 mil habitantes, aquilo aconteceria. Tipo, muito, muito difícil. Realmente é incrível ver como vocês são avançados e muito sentidos. E eu acho muito lindo como para vocês isso é muito, muito natural. Reflete muito para mim a forma como vocês vivem, onde vocês veem isso com naturalidade, algo que faz parte do dia a dia de vocês. Mas bom, essa foi a minha reação, eu espero que você tenha gostado desse vídeo. Se você gostou, considere se inscrever, vou adorar ter você por aqui. E se você já foi inscrito, não esquece de ativar as notificações. Então é isso, obrigada por assistir esse vídeo e nos vemos na próxima reação. Tchau!